For more on this, let's bring in a couple of experts. In Trump's former national security advisor, retired Army Lieutenant Colonel Anthony Shaffer. Tony, thank you for joining us. And national security expert John Rossomando. I hope I got your last name there correct, John. Appreciate you both joining us on your Saturday night. Colonel Shaffer, I'd like to start with you. The White House says you can't blame them for Afghanistan. They were only working with the cards they were dealt by the Trump administration. Your reaction?
So the fact is they resisted any contact with the Trump administration, to include the intelligence officials and DOD officials who were engaged in the Doha Agreement execution. This was their ignorance, that is purposeful, willful ignorance by the Biden administration to not accept this information. Secondly, if you read the second paragraph of the report, according to them, Joe Biden was constrained because he didn't have any options. This is complete and utter fiction. He's the most powerful man on the planet. Once he's in, he has all sorts of options. The fact is they chose to modify the plan, break the agreement. Once that agreement was broken, the Taliban were going to do whatever they wanted, which they did, and the rest is history. And the only bright spot out of all of this is that the DOD picked up the football that Biden fumbled and did the best they could to evacuate people. That was the only bright spot. That evacuation should have never had to happen, because had the transition happened according to the Doha plan, there would have been no need to evacuate those 126,000 people.
Yeah, John, the State Department's review of this U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan included far more findings than what the White House document left out. The State Department's report on Thursday apparently had more than 24 recommendations on how the department could be better prepared. A source telling CNN the Biden administration inherited a deadline without a clear plan of how to get there. But then they undertook their own review, and in April, Biden decided to go ahead with it and delayed the withdrawal timeline. So they did not exactly take the blueprint they were given in that regard. So some say some of that is a bit disingenuous to say that their hands were completely tied. John, what do you make of that?
Well, it's completely disingenuous. It's just as Tony said, President Biden was the president of the United States. If he came in and saw that he had a bad deal given to him by the prior administration, he could have worked diplomatically to try to renegotiate the plan. He could have increased the number of troops in Afghanistan to ensure proper withdrawal. The other thing that's glaringly missing in the White House report is what was found in the Inspector General report on Afghanistan. They cut off logistical support for the Afghan military. So we had a paper military that wasn't being supported logistically, nor were they getting the air cover that they needed. And General McKenzie, the CENTCOM commander, said, according to the Cigar report in February of 2021, that the Afghan government would collapse. They knew what was going to happen. They went ahead anyways.
Colonel Shaffer, I think this was the most perplexing thing we heard all week on this from John Kirby. He said the Biden administration did not leave millions of dollars worth of equipment to the Taliban. Watch.
This idea, this argument is just ludicrous, that we left millions of dollars of stuff in Afghanistan. We didn't. We turned it over, as the previous administration would have done too, because part of their thinking was they were going to have to turn this material over. It was turned over appropriately and carefully.
So it seems like he's playing a semantics game there, Colonel. What did you make of those comments?
It's a lie. I mean, come on. This is something that we know to be factual. As John just said, they cut off logistic support. They abandoned Bagram. And let me be very clear, the conditions-based withdrawal regarding the Doha Agreement would have never given up Bagram. That is one of the key notes that is left out of all these narratives. The intention was to maintain some military force capable of insinuating itself to make sure that that conditions-based transition of integrating the Taliban back into the government was going to be successful. So the idea that all that gear was not abandoned, was not given and abandoned, is insane. It's a lie. And shame on John Kirby and his cool ties that he seems to spend more time in Georgetown buying than paying attention to the facts of what's before him regarding this travesty.
Colonel Tony Shaffer, John Rossomando, appreciate you gentlemen joining us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.